Hello everyone. All right, for today's class, what I plan to do is do a quick review of the topics that we went through last class. And those topics, of course, are joining tables together to extract the data. Specifically, we learned how to do what's called an inner join, where basically we match a row in one table with one row from another table based on a specific condition. And this is the most common type of operation we do when we want to join two tables or more than two tables together. So I'm just going to quickly review that, and then we're going to do some examples. So it's going to be a fairly short lesson. We'll just do a few examples. There's a few from the notes that we didn't do last class, and also there's a few in the textbook that I'm planning to look at as well. Okay, so I've got the notes here in front of me. And as we mentioned, when you normalize your database, you're removing redundancies in your data. And to do that, you create a new set of tables. And eventually you get to what is considered a second normal or third normal form. And the advantage is that you don't have these redundancies. So if you change the data in one place, you don't have to worry about that data existing in another place, and now you have a mismatch. That's the whole point of normalization. So the only issue is when you go to grab that data again, you have to combine those two tables back together to get that information. Now, we looked at Cartesian joins or cross joins, and essentially these are joins where there's no logic, there's no intelligence in the join. You basically take one row and you match it with every row in another table. And you end up with basically a multiple of rows. So if you, for example, have 5 rows in one table, 10 rows in the other, and you do a Cartesian join, you'll end up with 50 rows total in your result set. Okay, so we can skip through this really quickly. All right, they're just showing some examples of Cartesian joins. Okay, and you can also use the cross join command as shown there. All right, so the type of join that we're doing is called an inner join. Now, of course, the book, they throw around these different terms. So one of them is equality join or equijoin. But I usually tend to call it an inner join. Oh, they've even thrown in simple join. So you do have to kind of be careful of that. Now, the key thing is that 90% of the time, this is the type of join. They can call it whatever they want. This is the type of join we're going to do, where basically we match one row from one table with one from another. And typically the best thing is to call it inner join. I think that's the simplest one. Okay, so we went through some examples of that. Now, there are several ways of performing the inner join. So that's the next thing I'm gonna quickly review. One of them is called the traditional method. So what they mean here is this is the method before they added the join command. Before the join command existed, you had to do your join operation in the where clause. So what we see here is it just talks about the where clause, and they'll show us an example. So in this case, we're joining the books and we're joining the publisher table. And the condition that we use to join them is where the book's publisher ID is equal to the publisher pub ID. When that is true, then we grab the row from the books table and we grab the row from the publisher table and we join them into one row, but only where that condition is true. So this would have been the traditional method, but nowadays we can use a command where it says, okay, they're just going through some ways of using table aliases and such. So I'm just skipping through that. So we can use the join command when we do this now. And that's a better way to do it. It's more explicit. It's going to, if you make a mistake, it'll be more obvious what the mistake is. So basically when we do that, we use this join keyword, and we also use on. And inside on, we can put in a condition that we're going to use to join. And the most common one would be we would list the two columns in the different tables and say that they have to be equal. But that's not the only way we can do the join. If we want. We could put in a greater than or a less than. We can have other operators if we want. But the typical one is to use equality. So let's see a quick example here. Okay, they're giving us a few other ones to confuse us, but let's get to the join on. Here we go. So join on, so we select from table, And then we say join, we give it another table on, and then we have our condition. So an example here, we want to join the publisher and books. So we say select the title and publisher ID and name from publisher join books on, and then we specify the two columns that have to be equal. So this is the preferred way to do this. All right, now let's look at a few other ones that are brought up in the notes. Okay, one is the natural join. So the natural join essentially is a shortcut. Now personally, I wouldn't use this. You guys might have to because it could be on a test. But I would stick to the join on because I feel like it is simpler. And all these other joins, like the natural join and the using, you can do the same thing with a join on. So it's important for you guys to learn what these are because when you get your job, someone might be using these other strategies. But typically I prefer to use the join on. The natural join though, basically you can save a bit of typing. You don't have to specify the name of the columns that match, okay? Instead, you're letting Oracle look through the two tables and pick out which columns have the same name and type. And for those columns, it'll make sure that they have to be equal. And that's called the natural join. The other one is you can use the using clause. And that's a situation where if you have two tables and you know that there's a column in each that need to be equal for the join, you can specify that in the using clause. So let's look at some examples. Okay, so here's our natural join one. So we're saying select title and publisher ID and name from publisher natural join books. So essentially those two tables are going to then be joined using, I believe it'll be the publisher ID. So books and publisher both have a publisher ID. So Oracle is smart enough to realize that it's the publisher ID and it's going to join the tables using that. All right, let's look at the using example. So here's a using example. And it's very similar to the natural join one. The only difference though is we are now specifying which column we're going to join them on. So the advantage of using the using clause over natural join, there could be a situation where you have maybe several columns between two tables that have the same name, and you only want to join them on maybe one of them. So in that case, you can't use a natural join because it's going to join them on every single one that has the same name. In that case, you would have to go join using and specify the singular column that you want joined. All right, now keep in mind, all of those can be rewritten using join on, okay? You're saving a little bit of typing if you use natural join or join using. All right, so next up, we're gonna do some examples, I think. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so the first one is create a traditional join query that displays the customer number, last name, and order number. Okay. So I'm just going to move that out of the way. I've got my database here. Okay, so I have B underscore customers. I have, and I also have orders. So customers and B underscore orders. So we can see right away we have customer number and we have last name, but we do not have order number in this table. So we have to go and see what table that's in. And of course it's going to be in the order table. We have an order number. We also have a customer number. And we notice that the customer number has a data type of number of four digits. 0 digits are decimals. And when I compare that, of course, with customers, it also has the same name and the same data type. Okay, so let's do the query. So create a new database file. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go select from B underscore customers. Now I'm going to use a table alias because I don't want to type too much. So B, and I also want B orders O. So I'm going to select B dot customer number, B dot last name, and O dot order number. Okay. So I'm just going to run this right now. Now this would actually be a cross join or a Cartesian product. If I run this, it's going to match because I'm not giving it a column to match on, it's going to match every row in each table with every other row in the other table. Okay, so I have a mistake here, O dot order number. Oh, I didn't put O, okay. Okay, there we go. Just gonna sneeze. Maybe not. Okay, so, all right, so we can see here that we have a ton of data because it was a Cartesian join. So now I'm going to go from B customers, B orders O, where B dot order number equals O dot order number. All right, so let's run this. Oh, I know why. It's not order number, it's customer number. B dot customer number equals O dot customer number. Okay. All right, this should work. Let's run it. Okay, there we go. And we have 21 results. And if I were to look in the order table, I'm guessing there are 21 orders. Yes, there are. Okay. So we basically looked at all of these orders and we've matched the customer number with a customer in the customer table. And then we print out the last name and the customer number as well as order number for this order. Okay. So it now wants us to do the same query using the natural join. Now we can do that because in this case, if I look at the two tables, the natural join will work because if I look at, not the data, if I look at the columns and I compare them, well actually it's easier to do here on the left. Basically I can see that the only column that has the same name is customer number, okay? So that means that Oracle will be able to match up, because it's a natural join, we're gonna trust Oracle to match up that column and to perform the join for us. So I will go, same thing, select customer, last name, order from customers B. I don't need the where anymore, so I'll get rid of that. I don't need the comma. I'm going to say natural join. Okay, let's try this. You should get the same result. Okay, I don't. Column used in natural join cannot have qualifier. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so customer number cannot have a qualifier, because I'm saying take the customer number from this table, but I'm not allowed to do that with the natural join. So I'll just say customer number because that's what's going to get joined. And there we go. Okay, so 21, we get the same results. Everything looks good. Now I wonder, let's just try this. I wonder if I can just remove. And I'm going to remove the table aliases. And let's just try running this again. Okay, and it works. Okay, so because I'm not, the natural join knows basically that the customer number exists in both tables. So you don't have to qualify it with a table. And the other two, Oracle is smart enough to know that they come from the the last name comes from customers, and the order number comes from orders. Okay, so let's move on. All right, so we've done 1 and 2. The next one is create the same query but using the using clause. So this is going to be really simple. So select the same 3 from customers. I'm going to say join orders, and now I do my using clause, and I'm going to say customer number. Okay, so I'm basically just making sure that Oracle is going to pick only the customer number column. Now, of course, I know that that's the only one it can pick, because when I look at the columns, customer number is the only one that matches. And there we go. We got our 21 results once again. And the last one, we're going to do the query using the join on. So this is the way that I definitely recommend. Okay, so we go select those 3 from customers, join orders on. Now, the only problem is this is a bit more typing. So I am going to have to go customers, so B customers, I'll say C, and B orders O. And I'm going to say C dot customer number, C dot last name, O dot order number. Okay, and I'm going to join on. Now I'm going to actually specify. I'm going to say C dot customer number equals O dot customer number. Okay, let's try that. And there we go. We get the same results. So you see there's a little bit more typing here, but this is the join on is more powerful, because we could, for example, I mean, you wouldn't want to do this, but you could join on when they're not equal. So now it's only going to match if it's not equal. So we're going to get a much larger result set, but this should work. Yeah, so we're getting a ton of 250, 300, still going. Okay, 399 rows. Okay, you can't do that with the natural join or the join using. Now, you probably wouldn't want to do something like that, but you still have a lot more flexibility with the join on command. All right, let's move on. Okay, so these are just the answers, which looks like pretty much what I had. Okay, looks good. Okay, so there is another few examples here, and these are non-equality joins. So the idea here is that, for example, when you're doing the natural join or the join using, those have to be equality. You can only join the 2 columns if they are equal, all right? Now, when you do the join on, though, you have a little bit more power in terms of how you want to join them. Like that example I just showed, where you could join on the not equals operator, or you could join on the greater than or less than, for example. So we're going to look at a few examples where you might actually do that. So this would you could do the traditional method where you don't use the join command, or you can do you can use join on to do these types, but you can't use natural join and you can't use join using. All right, so here we go. Once a year, the bookstore offers a promotion in which customers receive a gift based on the value of each book purchased. So if the book is between $0 and $12, the customer receives a bookmark. So yeah, if it's more than $12 up to say $15, they get a t-shirt, whatever, right? Okay. So there's a promotion table, and there is also I guess it would be the book table would have the costs. So let's just take a quick look and see. We have this as well. So we do have a promotion table. So I'm going to do just a quick select star from B underscore promotion, and I'll run this. Okay, so yeah, you get a book marker, a book label, book cover, or you get free shipping. All right, so that is the same results they're seeing. And the example they're doing is, okay, so they're basically going to look at the book, and they're going to determine what the promotion would be. So I'll just do that example that they're showing us. So let's look at the book table now. We've looked at the promotion table. We can see it has 3 columns. It has gift, min retail, and max retail. When I look at the book table, open this up, I can see that it has a retail. So based off of that retail, I want to join this book table with the promotion table. But obviously I can't use an equals operator because the retail, it's not going to be equal to the min retail or max retail. I mean, it might be, but what we're interested in is if it's between those 2 values. So how would we go about joining these tables then? Obviously we can't use an equality. So we would use basically a non-equality operator. Now the example they have in the notes, so I'm going to select b.title, p.gift from books B, promotion P, where b.retail is between p.min retail and p.max retail. Okay, let's just try running this. Okay, right, so it's b underscore books. Okay, so that just basically outputs for each book what your prize would be. Okay, let's try doing this, and we won't use the between. So the between operator is perfect for this, right? Because we want to find something within a range. But let's just see if I can rewrite this another way, just as another example. So where B retail is greater than or equal to min retail, and I would go b.retail is less than or equal to max retail. Okay, let's try that now. Okay, so we get the same results. Now we do have to be careful about the ranges. Between, I'm not sure if we'd have to double check the between operator to make sure whether it's inclusive or exclusive, because there could be a small mistake here. I think this is correct though. I think this is correct. Okay. All right, so let's get back to the notes. So we did that example. We used the between operator, or we can just use basically two comparisons, and the and operator as well would be another way to do it. All right, now the other way we're going to do it is using the join on method, and they've got the example here. So I'll just crank this one out. So it's going to be actually I'll just copy and paste to start with. Okay, so select B title, P gift from books B, join promotion. Now instead of going where, we're going to use the on, and we're going to join it on B retail between. Okay, so this is pretty much all I have to do. Okay, so let's just try running this. Oh, I forgot to add in my join. Okay, there we go. So just a simple change here. Okay, and there we go. We get our results. Now, of course, I like the join command best because I feel like it's more descriptive. It jumps out. If I were looking at the traditional method and I was reading this query, it's not as obvious to me as I scan that query what the programmer is trying to do. But as soon as I seen the join on, that really grabs my attention, and right away I know, okay, they're trying to do an inner join. So I definitely like using it better. Okay, and the notes mention here, you can't use a natural join or a join using. because those only work for equality. Because we're using a range and there's basically different conditions, not just equals, this doesn't work in this situation. All right, so we've got a few other exercises here. This one wants me to create a traditional join that displays the ship date, quantity, and cost. So let's do that. All right, so it doesn't, of course, it doesn't tell me what tables to use. So I'm guessing orders. What do I have here? Do I have ship date and orders? Yeah, I have ship date. I don't have quantity and cost. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna need the order. I'm just writing this down here. I'm definitely gonna need the orders table. I am also guessing I need the order item table. So that is gonna have quantity. Okay, so I've got the order item table. And that has my quantity. And where am I going to get cost from? Books. Okay, so I guess books has cost. So ship date, quantity, cost. So this example is using, in this case, 3 tables. So this will be an introduction now. I think this is the first one we've done where we're joining more than one table. Okay. So here we go. Let's write this out. So select from, I want B underscore books, I want B underscore orders, and B underscore order items. Okay, and I should give these aliases. So B for books, O for orders, and I for items. So I want B.cost, I want O dot ship date, and I want I dot quantity. Okay, and I've got these tables, and now I'm going to do it's a traditional join, so I'm going to do my where clause. So I just have to basically look at the 3 tables and find which columns match between each of the pairs. There's going to be 2 pairs of tables that I need to join. So I need to find 2 columns that match. So between books and order items, I have a ISBN. Okay, so I'm going to say where B.ISBN equals O.ISBN. And I'm going to go next, I'm going to go with order items and orders. So order number. So I think I made a mistake. It should be I.ISBN. Okay. So O.order number equals I.order number. Okay, let's run this. All right, there we go. So we've joined the 3 tables together based off of 2 common columns between them, and we've specified the cost, the ship date, and the quantity. Okay, basically for all of the order items that have been listed. So I have 32 rows that were returned. If I were to look at order items, and I look at the data, okay, I also have, there's 32 order items. So what I'm basically doing is I'm grabbing for each order item, I'm grabbing the ship date when that order was shipped, and I'm grabbing the cost of that actual item. Okay. All right, so the next example it wants me to do is to create the same query using the join on syntax. So let's do that. Okay, now I'm gonna actually consult the book here. So on page 121, the book goes through what the syntax for joining more than one table. And it's very, very simple how to do it. So I'll copy this. Okay, so I've got my select list from books B, and instead of putting a comma between each of the tables, I'm going to say join orders O on, and now I'm going to say B.ISBN, except I'm not joining books and orders. Okay, so instead of B orders O, I'm going to go with B order items I. Okay, on, and I'm going to say book.isbn equals I.ISBN. So I'm basically just taking the conditions that are in my where statement and placing them here. Okay, so I've gone join on, I've specified my condition, and looking at page 121, the syntax that I need, I basically now do another join. So now I'm going to say join B underscore orders on, and now I'm going to specify the other relationship, that it's O.order number equals I.order number. And I can get rid of the where clause because I don't need it. And this is what I'm left with. So let's see if this works. Okay, so I have a problem. Books B. Oh, I didn't put an alias. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. And I got my 32 rows returned from that query. All right. Okay, so they're just showing their answer key for this, so that's what I had. And then, of course, I have the join on. So I certainly prefer the join on. That's the one you guys should use. Okay. All right, so let's just do a couple examples from the textbook. So page 121 in the text, they do another example where they're joining vendors and invoices together. So I need to go and find what user, I'm looking at my users here, which table has the vendors table. Okay, there we go. So we have vendor and we have invoices. Okay, perfect. So basically, I'm just doing another, this is very similar to the last example I just did, but I am going to join two tables together using the join on, and I am going to, I want to get the invoice number and the vendor name. So when I, for example, look at the invoices table, I have an invoice number, but I don't have a vendor name. Instead, I have a vendor ID. So if I want to actually print out in one row information about the invoice, for example, the invoice number, as well as the vendor name, I'm obviously going to have to join it because that data isn't contained in one table. So when I look at the vendor table, I have a vendor ID, which I can match with the invoices one. I can use that to join the tables. But then I also have the vendor name. Okay. So let's create a new database file. Right, and I want to connect AP. I'm just going to make sure that I'm connecting properly, and I'm going to select star from invoices. So let's run this. Okay, did not like that. Oh, it's because I used the wrong. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm able to connect. So let's now do this this query. So I'm just basically copying what we have, page 121 in the text. So select invoice number, vendor name from vendors. Now in the textbook, they're actually using the inner join command. Now the inner part is optional. You can just omit it and just write join, because whenever you only write join, it's assumed that it's an inner join. There is another type of join that we'll be learning later this week, and that is an outer join. But for now, it's fine to just type join. I'll go with their example though, and I will type in, inner join. Okay, so we got inner join and invoices. Okay, and now we do our on. And because we're not using an alias here, I could say vendors V and invoices I, but I didn't do that. So I have to type out vendors dot vendor ID equals invoices dot vendor ID. Okay, so let's run this. And there we go. Wow, that's quite a bit. I'm just going to run that again. Okay, so we can basically see our invoice. For every invoice, we're putting the vendor name beside it because we joined the data. Now, in this example, they also have an order by invoice number. Okay, so I'll run that again. All right, so now the invoice number has been alphabetically arranged for us. Okay, so pretty much we've gone through. Now there are some more examples in the book, but I think I'll leave those for you guys to go through. This is all in chapter 4 of the book. So basically the examples you guys can use the book to review, joining more than 2 tables, using the join on command or using the traditional method, join using, and also the natural join command as well. These are some of the ones that I recommend you guys looking up in the book, just reading through, making sure you understand how these commands work. And I'm gonna wrap things up here. So I guess I'll see you guys again on later in the week, probably on Friday. I'll have another video, and we'll go over what are called outer joins, okay? And that's where you take one row from another table, but you, in this case, instead of joining it with only one row, you join it with multiple rows in the other table. But the other table is only joined with one row, okay? So it's not a Cartesian join, but you do end up with a larger result set than if you did an inner join, essentially. Okay, well, have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys later.